I teased one wrestler who deserves way more, and I think most people would agree that that wrestler is Drew McIntyre. Main event to Misused. You look at what he did in 2024. It was some of, if not his best work in professional wrestling. And he's had a long career. He's done a lot of great things. But you look at what he did last year, from his feud with Seth Rollins going into WrestleMania to his feud with CM Punk that led throughout the entire summer with crazy work both in ring as well as on the mic. What did they do to follow that crazy 2024 up? They paired him with Damian Priest in what feels like a mid-card feud on Friday Night SmackDown. This is month 4 of Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. And we learned last Friday that we'll get another match in this feud on Saturday night's main event this upcoming weekend in a steel cage. And my question is, wasn't the payoff of this a street fight in Vegas at WrestleMania? How do you have a street fight to end a blood feud, and then a month later, you're having a steel cage match at Saturday night's main event? It feels like they ran out of ideas for both Drew McIntyre and for Damian Priest as well. And that's not a great place to be whenever I look at Drew McIntyre as one of their biggest stars. How do you not have anything for this guy? Now, maybe they have something for him, but it's just months down the line. If that's the case, tell me you couldn't come up with anything better than a 4-month-long feud with Damian Priest. The story behind it is good. Don't get me wrong. Priest benefiting from Drew through the majority of 2024. It makes sense that Drew would take exception to that. But why does Drew need to go after him again now? Right? Because Drew earned himself a United States title shot, and then LA Knight and Damian Priest both weaseled their way into this, and then Priest took him out of it. Like, is that enough to make Drew go back after him? Maybe, but at the same time, it feels like we are just reaching to keep these two intertwined because we have nothing for them outside of each other. I think that ever since Drew McIntyre was transferred over to SmackDown, it just hasn't worked out, and it's pulled Drew back, right? Again, I think he belongs on the main event scene, and right now, the main event scene on SmackDown is kind of non-existent, right? You don't have enough established opponents in the main event for Drew McIntyre to go up against, which is why we see him and Damian Priest just clashing, right? That's it. John Cena's a part-time champ. He's been around, but he hasn't been around a lot, right? Randy Orton just finished up with John Cena, so he's been intertwined. And before that, he was with Kevin Owens. Speaking of Cody Rhodes, where's he at? Nowhere to be found right now. So with Cody gone, with Randy tied up in the Kevin stuff and then tied up in the World Championship, with John Cena only showing up to set up and then to pay off world title feuds, and McIntyre nowhere around that world title picture, what's left? LA Knight? Could be. Would have liked to see that, especially after what we saw at the Royal Rumble and the promo that we saw shortly thereafter. Would have loved to see Drew McIntyre versus LA Knight. We got a little bit in that United States title matchup, that fatal 4-way at Backlash. But for the most part, that hasn't really been something they've gone towards. Maybe that's what's next for Drew McIntyre. And then there's Damian Priest, somebody else who they brought over from Monday Night Raw, who had a little bit of momentum, who needed to get out of a very long feud that just wasn't working with Finn Balor. And what did they do? They put him right into a very long feud that isn't quite working with Drew McIntyre. Saturday is a chance for a fresh start for both of these gentlemen. I'd like to see it come to a conclusion. And personally, I'd like to see Drew McIntyre win because I think he needs to move up into the upper echelon of Friday Night SmackDown. Because right now it feels like a 3-horse race between Cena, Randy, and Cody. And I don't think that's a good place to be for the undisputed WWE Championship. I mean, heck, R-Truth is facing John Cena at Saturday night's main event. Drew McIntyre is in the mid card meanwhile. Make it make sense to me. Make it make sense to me. I mean, it might all pan out. We always have to wait and see, but his 2025 has been underwhelming, especially coming off of how good he was in 2024.